Good morning, all my crafty friends. Today we're going to do another installment of I Didn't Know I Needed to Know That. I'm Kathy Champion, and you're here on my YouTube channel, Kathy's Random Acts of Stamping. Welcome in. Today we're going to cover some basics with this particular trimmer and hopefully a little bit of information that maybe you didn't know. First of all, this trimmer is awesome. You have a wingspan that opens up to 17 1/4 inch. So you can cut those huge pieces of paper on this trimmer with no problem. You have ledges that hold your paper in place along here on your 6-inch guideline. You also have a 2-inch span on the right side. Your track runs here, so if you're cutting a small piece of paper where you need to hang on to it, you can actually measure to 2 inches right here and hold your paper here and cut it. Makes it so much easier. The other thing that makes this trimmer absolutely essential to me is the fact that we can score and cut. Your cut blade and your score blade, you don't have to take them out like some trimmers. Some of the trimmers that are on the market, you have to pop one blade out, put the other one in. To me, that's just too cumbersome. If I want to do that, I'm going to pull out my scoreboard and just score. But if you are busy doing a card, and let me grab a piece of cardstock. I'm just going to use some basic white today for the sake of the demonstration. And here is your piece of white cardstock. Let me push my computer over just a little bit. Give myself a little bit more room. I don't want to drop that. But I'm going to put this in and cut this in half. This is the 11-inch side, so I'm going to put it to 5.5. And I'm going to cut just a standard A2 size card. So this is my cut blade. As you can see, my score blade is parked up here in its little parking place, and all I got to do is slice. Now, if you noticed, I pushed up. I had a customer that got in touch with me and said that her blade was dull, and I suggested, because I know this works, if you have a trimmer, and I think this will work with most trimmers, if you are a one-way cutter, like if you always cut up, turn your blade around, because what you're doing, you're using, let me take mine out and I'll show you. When you're cutting up, you're using this side of your blade all the time. Whereas if you turn it around and use this side, you're using the sharper side of your blade. So just remember that, and you can turn your blade around. There's no reason why you can't, and then you can get a little bit more wear out of your blades. Now, if you're in the market for blades, Stampin' Up! Sells the blades, and they come 4 in a pack like this. They are $12, but that is like $3 a blade. These blades are very nice. They last a good while. If you're making a buku of cards, yes, you're going to dull your blade faster, and you want to be sure not to cut chipboard, heavy cardboard, even some of your heavier cardstock will wear your blade out faster. So what I do is when a blade goes dull, I save it. And I put it in a little drawer that I have right here behind me. And then when I'm cutting something like a magnetic sheet, chipboard, anything that might dull my blade, I'll grab one of those and I'll take this one out and use my dull blade to cut that, because it will cut it fine. And then I'll put this one back in for my good cardstock and my paper, and that will help define. The other thing that I want to show you, there's so much controversy on this, is folding your card. We're going to go ahead and turn this and put it on 4 1/4, and we're going to score this as a basic A2 size card. So I'm going to come up and grab my score blade, bring it down, and I just have a habit of scoring and cutting up. The reason for that, it forces my paper up and I get a better score line. I get a better, more accurate cut. So what you want to do is score, and I like to do it about 3 or 4 times. Then lift up your guide, and you want to turn this over. If you notice when you score, you have a valley side and you have a mountain side. I like to fold into the mountain, so I like to turn my mountain side over, push it up against my ledge, which is right here, fold it over, and even it up against that ledge, and then I take my bone folder and just crease that into place. And I'm going to show you by doing that, you are going to have a perfect fold every time. That card base is perfectly squared up, and it works for me every time. Now, if I did it the other way and folded it into that valley, I'm going to have a teeny bit of a gap right here. So that's not what we want. So that's the reason why I do mine. I fold it into the mountain rather than into the valley. So just kind of remember that when you're doing your cards, and especially if you're using this particular trimmer. The other thing that I did, here is my side guide. Now, I took a piece of copy paper and I cut a strip that was 1/4 inch long, and it only goes to 11. If you wanted to make it all the way to 12 or 12 and a half, you could do that. Just use a piece of 12 by 12 paper and cut your 1/4 inch strip off. But this works pretty good for me because I'm usually lining stuff up somewhere in here. So when I put a piece of cardstock in, let me grab a darker piece. Let's say this piece, and this is a piece that I had scored before, but let's say that I needed to cut on the score line, maybe down to 3. I can easily see, let me see if I can zoom y'all in just a little bit, so hopefully you can see that too. You can see my 3 is right there, and I have, that's the score. Let's get our cut blade up. I always like to hold my guide up with my fingers, making sure that score line is lined up in the track, which is right here. Right there is the track. So I've got that lined up, and I've got it set on 3. I'm sorry, 2. Let me pull it down to 3. So say you needed to cut a slit between 1 and 3. This is a good way to do it. I sink my blade, and then I just slice very slowly up to that 1 inch mark. When that 1 inch lines up with this there's a little notch right here that allows you to line it directly up. Then I can bring that out, and I have a slit that is cut perfectly. And by putting this little piece of copy paper on here, it helps me see that much better. So that's a suggestion if you have any trimmer that has a clear guide here. So let me zoom y'all back out. So these were just some things that I was thinking about this morning, and I thought, I think everybody needs to know this. So thank you so much for tuning in. I will have this video posted really soon. I love you very, very much, and as I always say in closing, let everything that you do and say bring glory to our Father in heaven. He is worthy. Until we craft again, God bless and keep you. Bye-bye.